South America harbors a hidden sovereign fortress, a massive mineral empire protected by an extensive ecological preservation shield. This data measures Suriname's natural baseline against global counterparts. 93% of its sovereign landmass remains blanketed by pristine Amazonian jungle. That isolation exists in direct contrast to the country's industrial ambitions. Deep interior eco-resorts operate alongside heavy offshore oil rigs and expanding urban capital infrastructure. This is Paramaribo, a landscape of multi-story brick and white wooden architecture, operating as the only Dutch-speaking sovereign government seat in South America. Upcoming 2026 visa adjustments and the potential for hard currency leverage are now bringing this territory into focus for remote workers and industrial specialists. But the riverbanks hide a high-friction economy. Navigating this frontier requires managing steep ocean freight markups, digitized border controls, and specific urban security protocols. We are investigating whether this Amazonian frontier is a strategic base for your next deployment, or if its infrastructure poses a risk to the unprepared. A 2026 update to the Equatorial Gate changes the pipeline. Citizens of the US, EU, UK, and other major nations can bypass traditional visa applications for stays up to 90 days. However, visa-free does not mean entry-free. This matrix shows the trade-off. Procedural ease is replaced by strict digital pre-planning. All international arrivals must secure a digital Suriname entry fee voucher. This is a mandatory pre-flight requirement that must be paid for and verified via the official portal before you are permitted to board. Immigration desks mandate precise compliance. Passports require at least 6 months of validity, and agents strictly verify return flight itineraries upon arrival. The environmental constraints are unrelenting. A pure equatorial climate keeps temperatures between 75 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit, driven by intense, year-round humidity. 2 distinct rainy seasons dictate movement. The primary loop from April to August and a shorter window in December and January bring torrential cloudbursts that can stall interior transit. This geography punishes spontaneous travel. Extracting value from Suriname requires meticulous digital preparation and timing your arrival for the dry seasons of February to April or September to November. The local economy rewards those with hard currency revenue. Foreign workers holding US dollars or euros extract massive purchasing leverage within the Surinamese dollar system. Multi-course traditional meals range from $3 to $6. Standard functional apartments in the capital typically lease for between $250 and $450 a month. In the premium sector, modernized high-security apartments in prime Paramaribo districts range from $600 to $1,100 monthly. But local service savings are offset by logistics. Because most goods are imported, Western packaged products carry a heavy ocean freight markup. For most expats, the domestic job market is unviable. Local wages are severely compressed, offering minimal utility compared to the cost of maintaining a Western lifestyle. The elite earning sector is driven by extraction. Block 58 offshore oil developments and deep jungle mining operations anchor the nation's wealth. Large-scale industrial networks use heavy earth-moving machinery to process the country's bauxite and mineral reserves. In contrast, the interior goldfields still rely on labor-intensive hand-dug extraction across deep terraced pits. Specialized international consultants pull aggressive compensation. Petroleum geologists, mining architects, and environmental planners earn packages ranging from $3,500 to $7,000 net monthly. The economic reality is binary. Suriname is a financial trap if you rely on local wages, but a high-yield base if you bring foreign revenue or specialized industrial expertise. Public safety is defined by geography. The indigenous eco-resorts and deep Amazonian interior operate with high levels of communal peace. Paramaribo requires more active vigilance. Navigating the capital means managing the risk of routine, opportunistic property crime. Specific urban threats include daytime pickpocketing, smartphone snatching in market squares, and scams targeting foreign tech workers. Security protocols are non-negotiable at night. You must avoid unlit coastal river paths after midnight and rely strictly on trusted private transport dispatches rather than walking. This vigilance buys access to a unique cultural matrix. It is a harmonious fusion of Javanese, East Indian, Maroon, Chinese, and Dutch heritages interacting in vibrant open-air markets. The culinary reward is significant. The national icon is palm, a complex taro root and chicken casserole, served alongside fiery Javanese sauto soup and Hindustani roti. The lifestyle trade-off is clear. Operating here means sacrificing the carefree nighttime movement of a Western city for deep, slow-paced daytime cultural immersion. This decision tree evaluates your viability in the Amazonian interior. The process begins with your primary income source. Those seeking local entry-level work, frictionless nightlife, or arrival during the summer rain season are routed into red warning nodes. For budget backpackers, this is an inefficient choice. The approval nodes highlight the USD earning remote worker, the industrial consultant, and the dry season eco-tourist. These profiles can leverage the country's high-leverage arbitrage. Success requires a specific operational mindset. You must be prepared for digital border bureaucracy and maintain constant situational awareness in urban centers. If you navigate those barriers, the reward is access to a vast primeval geography, endless dark rivers cutting through 93